Hey guys, how you doing here today? This is David Lucas back here again. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm coming back at you guys again for another review. And this review is actually a sequel of a long-awaited movie that I've been waiting to see for a really long time. If you go back on my most anticipated list, you'll see this one right on my most anticipated list. And it's something I've actually been talking about on this channel a lot lately. If you've been paying attention to this channel all lately, you'll see that I've been actually talking about it a lot. And that movie is none other than Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Yes, guys, Venom, Let There Be Carnage is finally here. We finally got it after all this time, all this waiting. It is finally here. A little bit of history on this. If you guys know me, you guys know that I actually am a big fan of the first Venom movie. I actually really do enjoy the first Venom movie. I think it's a fun movie. I was very entertained throughout it all. I love Tom Hardy as Venom. I love the relationship between Venom and Tom Hardy, and plus the relationship between, I think what her name is, Anne. I could be mistaken her name, but with Anne. And I think that it was a fun movie. I feel like at the end of the day, the first Venom movie was a very fun movie. It did have some problems to it. I did have problems, and I went into that in my other video, if you guys watched that, about the first Venom movie. Oh no, it was a fun, good movie in my opinion. And it made a ton of money in the box office too, so of course, because of that, a sequel has to be remade. And stepping up to the director's seat this time around is none other than the great Andy Serkis. And I love Andy Serkis. He is awesome. Everything that man is in is just gold. Caesar, Lord of the Rings, Snoke, Batman. He's done so much other things. And he's just a great actor. And he's starting coming up to be a director himself too lately. I'm pretty sure, I think he made the movie Mongol, I'm pretty sure, like a couple years ago. And now he's making Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and I am so stoked. Now, if you're new to this channel at all, usually what I do in my reviews is I start out with the good and then go to the bad. So, of course, I got to start out with the good in this movie, and then I move on to the stuff I didn't really like about this movie, which there were some stuff I didn't like about this movie, and there were some stuff I did like about this movie. You know, not every movie is a 10 out of 10, not every movie is perfect, almost any movie is perfect, so let's get on to the review, guys. First, right off the bat, I gotta say, what this movie does really good is it takes what worked in the first movie, and it just uses that, and it builds on that. And that is something great. It doesn't go and completely switch directions. It doesn't go and completely switch whatever they were planning on doing with the first one. They just took what worked with it, and then used all that, and then kind of ignored everything that didn't work with it. And I like that. That's why I think I actually love this movie a lot. And maybe, in my opinion, I think I like this movie maybe even more than the first, even though I did like the first. But what it does is it takes what works of the four and it erases everything that it did wrong. Like with the, bad CGI and the end fight scene and Riot and how it kind of felt a little bit like the movie didn't really know what it wanted to be at times. This movie does know exactly what it wants to be, and it presses hard on it, which is awesome. Of course, I gotta re-mention again that Tom Hardy as Venom and Eddie Brock is just perfect casting, in my opinion. And to me, when I read a Venom comic book and I read them a lot, I love Venom. Tom Hardy is what I imagine as Eddie Brock in Venom. He just has the mannerisms to me. He has the looks. He has the sound. He has everything. He has everything that I want in an Eddie Brock and Venom both, and he puts it into both. And you can tell with his role that he loves this role, that he actually really enjoys being Venom in this. He loves it. And all to him, I give him all the power for that because he is great in this role. I love the banter between him and Venom in here. They have more banter together. They have more of kind of that, relationship, toxic relationship type of thing going on, which I like it a lot. They fight halfway through the movie, get into a big fight where they do actually end up splitting and moving off, and Venom goes on to different people, and Brock is all alone by himself too, and everything. Like they have good moments like that all throughout this movie that works, and that was something that worked really well in the first one that they brought over and very emphasizing this, and I really like that a lot about this movie. I honestly really love the looks of the symbiotes in this one. I think they look so much better, especially Carnage and Venom. They look so good in this one, and of course you got Andy Serkis directing this, who is, the master of all, CGI special effects and everything, and motion capture. That is Andy Serkis, and he's directing this, so you probably would know going into this it's going to look a lot better, but it looks really good. Same with Carnage and Venom in this one that I really love, that really was a lot better done in here what they did in the first one, because in the first one I really did not like Riot. I did not like the look of Riot. I did not like the end fight scene with Riot and Venom. To me, it just didn't. It looked like the same thing. It looked like just a blob of blackness, basically. A blob of a black monster. Two black monsters going at each other with liquid goo. That's all it looked like to me at the end, and it just didn't really satisfy me. This, though, on the other hand, this looks great. The way how Carnage looks, the way how Carnage moves, how he does this stuff, the way how his design is so different than what it looks like in any symbiote. Like, his symbiote design is very unique and different. Even with Venom, too, when we go on to Venom, he does, again, like I said, look more cleaner and crisper and more. You can tell the difference between these symbiotes, and their body shapes are just completely different and everything. I love that. Of course, too, when they fight at the end, when you end up having the big fight at the end, you can completely tell who is who, and I think they did great at it. And now, since I already mentioned Carnage, I gotta talk about Woody Harrelson as Carnage. Like, I think Woody Harrelson as Carnage is perfect. I think that he was honestly perfect as Cletus Cassidy and Carnage. The way how he interpreted the role, the way how he spoke with Eddie, and the way how him and the symbiotes kind of formed with each other, I loved. And I know how he got the symbiote is a little bit different in the movie than how it was in the comics, but still, to me, it worked in the movie. It made sense, and it fit, and it didn't feel too over the top, or didn't feel too whelmed. I felt it was great how he ended up getting the symbiote, how it fused with his blood and everything. How we got some of that backstory on him, too, and some of the backstory on Cassidy, on Cletus Cassidy, which was literally directly from the comic books about his grandma and his mom and all of that, right, ripped out from the comic books, which I loved, which, makes me a comic book fan really happy. Again, too, I already was mentioning before, but I mentioned right here that the look of him was just great. It was fantastic how Carnage looked. Like, out of being a person who wanted to see a Carnage movie since I was a kid, I've wanted to see this ever since I was a little kid. Reading the Carnage comic books, seeing Carnage in the video game, the SpiderMan PS2 video game, that was one of my grown-up things growing up. I love that game. Seeing him in a 90s cartoon and in the comic books, I've always wanted to see Carnage in a live-action movie, and I am happy. I am actually happy with what I got with it, and I think this is great. And I know some people say, oh, it should have been a rated R, Carnage should be more R-rated and more blood and all this stuff, but in my opinion, it gave what the comic book Carnage gave. Like, the comic book Carnage was never really that much gory. I mean, it was gory, don't get me wrong. But the way how the movie does it, they really pushed the PG-13, in my opinion. Like, they really pushed it. Like, really the only difference between this and a rated R was that in a rated R movie, you would probably see, like, a head come off, or blood splattered everywhere, and guts everywhere, and stuff like that. This movie, you don't see that. But at the same time, the action and the way how Carnage takes out the prison guards, that scene when he's in the prison, how he throwing people through, like, the walls and ceilings, like bricks, cemented in ceilings and stuff like that. Like, the only difference that we did is that we didn't see the aftermath of their bodies. But if we were to see that, it would have been rated R. And of course, you can't go out this review without talking about that amazing, insane, out of nowhere end credit scene. Yes, guys, if you guys seen this movie, you probably know what that end credit scene is. And it's with Tom Hardy's Venom. They're sitting down, Eddie Brock and Venom sitting down together. They're on, like, some beach on some vacation or something like that. And then Venom is about to show Brock, all his knowledge and vast, of all the universes he's been to and all that stuff. And then as soon as he does that, something happens. The TV changes. And then who pops up on the TV? Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Right from what I noticed too, which everyone probably didn't notice too, right from Far From Home. That's at the ending of Far From Home when Mysterio reveals his identity, I think. And they're seeing the news coverage of that, and then Venom kind of goes up to him. Now, I don't think this was his exact words, but he says something like he licks the screen and he goes, "Oh, that guy." Just hearing him say that, licking the screen, it made me jump in my seat. Like, I was really excited. And everyone in the theater, too. And my theater was pretty packed, by the way. I was really surprised how packed my theater was. But everyone in the theater just went crazy and started cheering. It makes me so curious as to what they're going to be going to do further on with this. So now Venom is connected into the MCU. And Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, is connected with Tom Hardy's Venom. Well, I can't wait to see what the future holds with this. Obviously, something big. Obviously, something very crazy that no one expected was going to happen, but it's happening. And now, of course, in all my reviews, you always got to go on to the bad, because were some bad things in this movie. Even though I did like this movie and I had a great fun time with this movie, there are some things I didn't like. Now, first things first, one thing I didn't like was Carnage's voice. I loved Woody Harrelson as Carnage. I loved the look of Carnage. I loved the interpretation of Carnage. But I just did not like his voice. To me, his voice sounded like in the movie too like low and deep and a little bit like Venom's a little. That was just like the one thing I didn't really like about his voice. Because to me, Carnage, I've always imagined Carnage to have a very high pitched, kind of almost screaming like voice with like multiple voices. Like I always imagine hearing like multiple high pitched voices just coming out of his mouth. And he just sounds very chaotic, very, unhinged, unsettling, just like, whoa. Like, that's how I've always imagined Carnage to sound. Reading the books, watching the shows, and all that. That's how I always imagine him. In the movie, he kind of, like I said, was a very just deep, kind of soft. Really, it was a really soft, cool type of voice. I don't know. I know it's a nitpick. It is a nitpick. But it's just something I didn't like about it. Another thing, too, I wish this movie was a little bit longer. At least 20, 30 minutes longer. Because I feel like when it ended, it kind of felt like abrupt. Kind of like it should be more to it. Like we're missing some stuff. And it kind of felt like that a little bit. Not as much as the first one did. But we did get that a little bit of that feeling here. Where I wish it was at least 20 minutes longer. Maybe have some deleted scenes put back in here. Another thing, too, is I wasn't that interested in Shriek and the whole relationship with Carnage and Shriek. I feel like that really fell flat, too. Their whole relationship. I know it's from the comics and all that. But I just feel like in the movie, it was something that they could have added a little bit more time to. They could have added a little bit more time to their relationship and developed their relationship more. Because I feel like it was very underdeveloped. Same thing with Shriek in general. She was just very underdeveloped, in my opinion. You just didn't really care much for her. But that's just my opinion. Well, guys, my overall thoughts on Venom Let There Be Carnage is that Venom Let There Be Carnage is a fun, enjoyable sequel that's better focused on the tone and what it wants to be. Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson did a fantastic job on their roles. They did the roles perfectly. Tom Hardy as Venom just makes me more happy to see him all the time. And Woody Harrelson as Carnage was chaotic and crazy and unhinged and insane as Carnage should be, and I loved it. The relationship between Carnage and Shriek could have been better, and Carnage's voice could have been a little bit more better too. Also, too, the movie could have been benefited from being a little bit longer. But the end credit scene makes up for almost all of that. Venom Let There Be Carnage, I'm going to have to give for my overall scoring, is a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, guys, 7.5 out of 10. I think I would have gave the first Venom a 7 out of 10. So a 7.5 out of 10 is just an extra 5% I'm going to have to give for Venom Let There Be Carnage. I love this movie. I had a fun time with it. I can't wait to see it again and again. Most likely going to get the Blu-ray for it because I honestly really like this movie a lot. Let me know down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on Venom Let There Be Carnage. I always like to know your guys' thoughts and always like to know your guys' opinions all the time. So let me know down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. As always, if you like this video, make sure you give my video a like and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate it. I always appreciate your support all the time. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later.